I think the most most professor with us, Maria Desiba Madam, Chandrakala Madam, Shali Balirao, Principal Dr. Prakash Gandhi, and we congratulate him for becoming the principal of the same. So it's a great honor to all of us. Sachidananda Honda sir is always there for the programs. Sri Gyaneshwar Rinde sir, head of the Department of Geography from Shakti College, and Dr. Dilip Nage sir from Vasan Dada Patil Institute of Savni, and our staff of the department, Gavit sir, Dr. Gavit sir, Dr. Saudani sir, and
again, most important person, Principal Etimajan sir, Professor Modi, and Professor Vinaswan Chavan, happen to be coming as Professor Professor, and I am fortunate and blessed that I am student of Professor right from 12th standard till MPhil, and even still today I am still learning from him in various skills, and this will continue to go on as my elder sister was also a student. So, and I also welcome all our any geography students of the department. Dr. Samyuti is here, Asta is here, Dr. Vimal Parab is here. Thank you so much. Welcome to this hour.
Before the commencement of the formal sequence of events, it is first Professor Professor Vinayak S. Patke, who is a retired professor and former head of Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, and ex-president of Bombay Geographical Association. I hereby invite Principal. Um, I hereby invite our most revered professor, Dr. Vinayak.
Hello, hello, hello. Bueno, bueno,
I hereby for presenting bouquet of flowers to our respected sir. I now take the opportunity to invite Professor Dr. Vilasrao Jawan sir to present the gift as a token of appreciation, love, and respect. I now invite Bharti ma'am for presenting the small box of as a token of love and respect again to our respected sir. Thank you, sir. I now take the opportunity to invite Bharti madam to come and take her position over here on the podium to brief us about the Bombay Geographical Association. Good day, all of you. Namaskar. Respected sir, all the dignitaries sitting over here, the students, I'm here to give you a brief information about the activities carried out by the Bombay Geographical Association. The Bombay Geographical Association is one of the oldest registered geographical association from 1935, housed at Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. The Bombay Geography Association has a rich legacy of well-known geographers, academicians, administrators, and philanthropists who have been the founder pillars of the association during their tenure, namely late Principal C. Joshi, late Sri Iyer, late Dr. C. Deshpande, late Sri N. M. Joshi, late Sri Vakil, late Professor Arunachalam, late Dr. K. Sita, Dr. V. H. Padke, Professor V. Amrute, Professor S. Ebenezer, and presently Dr. Savismita Vilasrao Chawar. The BJ has been conducting various academic programs for disseminating knowledge in geography through conferences, seminars, workshops, refresher courses, orientation programs, diploma courses, field trips, training programs, map exhibitions, etc. for college and school teachers in association with Board of Studies Geography and Department of Geography, University of Mumbai at international, national, state, and regional levels over the years with kind support from the authorities at University of Mumbai. The PGA has more than 30 publications in the form of annual research journal, namely Bombay Geographical Magazine, occasional papers, and monographs. BGA has provided platform through awards and prizes for young geographers and students instituted by sponsored by Srimati Shantini Banerjee Prize to PG Geography students of Mumbai University from the Corpus Fund donated by Professor Bharti Uli, retired as head of Geography Department, Sati College, in the memory of a beloved mother. Mrs. Kani Memorial Prize to undergraduate geography students of Mumbai University from the Corpus Fund, donated by Mr. Kamraj and Industrialist. Late Shri Shankar Raghunathan Memorial Award for Best Postgraduate Student in Geography from Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, from the Corpus Fund, donated by Professor Vijay S. Rao in the beloved memory of his father. Late Saurabhya Ambikatai Shankarrao Memorial Prize is being instituted by established members for awarding students securing highest mark at SSC examination among the schools around Vidyanagari area. BGA is honored and blessed to organize memorial lectures of late Principal C. V. Joshi with generous fund donated by his son Vijay Joshi and family. BJ is also honored Association Department of Geography, University of Bombay, for organizing Dr. C.D. Deshpande Memorial Lecture over the years. This year, with generous donation from Dr. Prasad, son of Dr. K. Sita, the amount of was for the department and other geographers, BJ organized several lectures. Arunachalam and late Dr. K. Sita for a great contribution in enriching and growing the students of the Department University of Mumbai for the year 2020. We are also happy to announce that BTA has created an website too. Now, these are the activities that BTA is carrying out. Besides this year we have carried out a workshop by Dr. Hemant Pendekar. He has carried it out at Nagindas College and plans to carry out at Panvel College too in this very soon. We have already had this Professor late Professor Arunachalam Sir Memorial Lecture, which was there. Dr. Tapati Mukhopadhyay had given a lecture. We are going to have a conference very soon in the next in this month itself. No, in the next month, 15th of March, and many programs which have been carried out BGA. And today, of course, we are here with our loving sir, beloved sir, Dr. Padke sir. Now, thank you. These are the activities that I mentioned about the Bombay Geography Association. Thank you once.
Good afternoon, one and all. I here for introduce our own department, Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. First of all, I welcome one and all on behalf of Department of Geography, University of Mumbai and Bombay Geographical Association. I welcome you once again. The Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, established in the year 1969, offers postgraduate courses leading to the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Sciences by papers or research awarded by the University of Mumbai. In addition to master's program, MPhil and PhD degree programs are also conducted by the department. Department expense facility of the department is devoted to the research in their given equal importance by the faculty. Extra care taken to pay individual attention to the students in their laboratory work and lecture sessions. Project work and problem sessions are encouraged to develop innovative and analytical approach to learning. Topical mineral seminars by experts from research institute planning authorities are organized to create research awareness among students. Experts in different allied fields are also invited for interaction and curriculum developed whenever necessary. The Department of Geography is the only center teaching geography at the postgraduate level in the University of Mumbai. The department also allows registration of the candidates for PhD with the recognized teachers teaching in the affiliated colleges, University of Mumbai. Finance the department to create and maintain infrastructure facilities for its various teaching and research programs. Additional finance required for the research work is sought by individual faculty members from the various national funding agencies such as the UGC, DST, ICSSR, CSIR, and DOE. It has close interaction with the academicians and experts from the other research organization of the city. The Department of Geography was great headed by Dr. C.D. Deshpande in the initial stage and many other eminent professors just like Phadke sir. The other eminent head likely to say Professor Arunachalam, Dr. K. Sita, Phadke sir, Dr. S. Banerjee Goha, Dr. A. S. Jadhav sir, Dr. Sudha Srivastava, Dr. Srimati Gandhi madam, Dr. B.B. Sonule, Dr. Savishnda Chauhan, and Dr. Sanjukta Sattar, along with presently 7 professors which are working and taking care of Department of Geography, which are highly technician and GIS knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for the brief introduction about our Department of Geography. It is now time to invite respected Principal Dr. Prakash Tongre, sir, to enlighten us all a brief introduction of Professor Dr. K. Sita, madam.
Respected Phadke sir, Dr. Smita Chauhan madam, Principal Ashok Mahajan sir, my teacher Bharti Unni madam, Professor Rashmi Desai madam, Professor Vilas Rao Chauhan, dignitaries, and my dear students. Good afternoon to all. I feel very happy to speak about Dr. K. Sita as she taught me subject climatology in year 1989-90. Dr. K. Sita was born on 10th August 1931 in Chennai and grew up in Kodaikanal and in Chennai. She completed her BSc honors from University of Madras in 1951 and then earned MSc degree of Andhra University in 1953. She was a recipient of Fulbright scholarship and went to Kannas State University to get MSc degree by research. Her doctoral degree was from the University of Mumbai, and Dr. C.D. Deshpande, Professor C.D. Deshpande guided her. The topic of research was towns of South Konkan. After returning from Kannas, she settled in Mumbai and joined St. Xavier's College in the late 60s till 1963. Later, after the break of 5 years, her mother of two sons, she again started her teaching career in Ruia and Poddar College. While teaching in colleges at undergraduate level, she was the visiting faculty engaged in PG classes in college, now Sate College. Then in short period, she joined the University Department of Geography in 1973 until her retirement in 1991. She was a faculty in Department of Geography. She was acting head of Department of Geography from December 1984 to June 1987. She used to tell the students four mantras of success. One, that is, one has to toil a while. Two, endure a little bit. Three, believe always. And four, never think of going back on the path. This used to prepare the student mentally to take up the work diligently and patiently in the days when much of the work was to be carried out manually. Her teaching was so versatile, comprehensive, and yet simple to understand the complex aspects of the subject that made her very popular among the students. She taught many branches of physical and human geography with great mastery in branch of urban geography. Madam guided 41 students for their MA dissertations and 8 students for their PhD work as well as for the MPhil. Dr. K. Sita research papers were published in various renowned academic journals, chapters in editorial book, and joint or sole author books are worth reading. Dr. K. Sita worked at Rutgers University with Professor John E. Bruce for the postdoctoral work on factorial ecology of Bombay in 1984. Major research projects carried out under the guidance of Madam includes number one, the declining city core of Indian metropolis, a case study of Mumbai. Number two, Koina catchment, an environmental perspective. And number three, core of Indian cities. Post-retirement, Madam K. Sita was recipient of ICSSR Senior Research Fellow for 3 years, then attached with International Institute of Population Studies, Population Science, Devnar, Mumbai, where she completed a project on investment patterns in the districts of Maharashtra. On completion of tenure of her fellowship, Dr. K. Sita was invited to join TIS as a Tata Chair Professor and continued her research and guidance at personal level to many students. Several students have taken inspiration from her to complete their PhD degree. Researchers all over India and abroad talk very highly about the quality of her research work. Dr. K. Sita, a beloved teacher of geography, breathed her last on December 16, 2017, at her son's residence in London. Just in continuation of this, I would like to say I joined the department in 1989 and completed my postgraduate degree at 1991. And I think our batch was the luckiest batch because we got our education, we got our geography lessons from eminent personalities like Dr. B. Arunachalam, Professor B. Arunachalam, Dr. K. Sita, Dr. Fadke, Dr. Guha, Dr. Smita Gandhi, Ebenezer sir, Vijay Rao sir, and my guide, Dr. Sudha Srivastava madam. We were not only lucky, I think, I don't know exact statistics, but it is said that our batch given the best result of 1991, and definitely the credit of it goes to our all beloved teacher. With this, I thank BGA, Department of Geography, for giving this opportunity to me to talk about Dr. K. Sita. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us about such a great personality um, who was Dr. Professor K. Sita Madam. Now I take the opportunity to call upon Dr. P. Chaudhary, sir. I invite you, sir, on the podium to brief us all about the introduction, with the introduction of respected Professor and Dr. V.S. Fadke, sir.
Good afternoon, all. Even though that Chauhan Madam has already given the welcome address, but still, on behalf of the Department of Geography, I welcome you all. So today's that speaker, respected Dr. Vinayak Phadke sir, he is going to deliver the first memorial lecture of that K. Sita ma'am on impact of rainfall extremes on area and uh, production in production in India, of production in India. So when that Chavan ma'am was asked me that, sir, will you arrange a program on K. Sita ma'am? Actually, I was planning to go to that Deccan Geographer conference. So immediately I have not given that, immediately I have not replied that is, ma'am, I will see and I will tell you that. But I am fortunate, I am lucky that madam has handed over this program to me and told that you have to give the introduction of V.S. Phadke sir. I think there is no need of introduction of Dr. Phadke sir. He is very well-known person, professor, not only in Mumbai, but in Maharashtra and India. And actually, I didn't get a chance to hear that Phadke sir. And when I saw the topic of that lecture, I was very interested to listen about his lecture because I'm also working in hydrology, and that is a part of my interest. So I'm pleased to be here to introduce that today's speaker, Dr. Vinayak Phadke sir. Sir has retired from Department of Geography as a professor and a former head of this department. Sir was born on September 7, 1945 in Purnagad at the home of his maternal uncle. He attended the local board school in Pavas from 1951 to June 1958, where he passed the vernacular final. He successfully completed his SSC exam in 1962. He earned his BSc in 1966 and his MSc in 1968. He began teaching at Kirti College in 1966, and the first class of BA, that geography students, and the in first class of geography batch, and that batch was graduated in 1973. On March 15, 1979, Sir joined the Department of Geography at the University of Mumbai. My birth year is 1979. Sir was joined in Mumbai University branch. So, Sir joined the Department of Geography at the University of Bombay as a lecturer after leaving the Kirti College. Under the guidance of Dr. K. Sita ma'am, the first awardee candidate of Sita ma'am, and so got appointed as a reader in 1983. So, Sir is appointed as a reader in 1983. And in September 1994, he was appointed professor and department head of geography. And we know that he has served for a longer period of this department. If you visit to the department, you can see that notice board. Sir's name is the maybe that 2-3 times that board. He retired from teaching in September 2005 after many years of committed devotion. He has supervised 27 students for their MA dissertation, 9 for MPhil, and 6 for PhD. So he has produced several research papers in reputable publications, chapters in edited volumes, and as a co-author in works as out to read. After retiring, Sir promoted geography by including PG classes while serving as a coordinator at Nagindas Khandwala College in Malad from 2006 to 2019. As president of BGA, Bombay Geographical Association, he has made significant contribution to the Bombay Geographical Association through the production of map book and Bombay Geographical magazines. I have read that your magazines, and you have done very excellent study of these coastal areas of that Palghar site. As the organization of he also organized many conferences, seminars, workshops, and other events. And on this special occasion, we ask God to grant you a good, sound, long life, as well as peace, prosperity, and happiness. Please bless us, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. Our most revered Professor Dr. V.S. Phadke, sir, I hereby most humbly request you to deliver the first Professor Dr. K. Sita ma'am's memorial lecture. We are all ears, sir, for your lecture.
हा इथे नाही दोन्ही असू दे कारण दाखवायला ओके नॉट द फर्स्ट स्लाइड नो अच्छा ओके हाँ ओके ओके I am happy to be here and also happy to see many of my old students like Maria, then Dr. Rashmi Desai, Bharati Udni, and others. Of course, Vilas Rao Chavan was not my student, but he was my colleague in the Department of Geography, Kirti College. Dr. Mahajan is there, is there, and so many are there. I am very happy and I'll also consider my proud privilege to give the first memorial lecture of Madam Sita. I won't say Dr. Sita. I was not so fortunate in learning the lessons from her, either at the undergraduate or postgraduate level. Because I am a student of Parle College, now it is called Sati College. I enrolled myself for junior BSc in 1964. But she had taken a break of 5 years to bring up her children, 2 sons. And I was not so lucky to hear her at the postgraduate level. Now, those were very difficult days, even for the department and also for Professor Arunachalam. Because when I took admission in junior BSc, Principal C.B. Joshi was there, and he was the main support, moral support, and all the type of support, I would say. But unfortunately, Professor Principal Joshi passed away in January 1965. And later on, the principalship went to M. Poddar, who was the professor of economics. And you know, economists try to balance the needs with the means. And therefore, when Principal Joshi was there, were 4 lecturers and 1 demonstrator in the department. And the tradition used to be whoever stands first in BSc would become the demonstrator in the college. Expecting that also, when I was in senior BSc, then demonstrator was terminated, thinking that I would take up the realm of demonstratorship in the next year after passing my BSc. That did not happen. In fact, there were 2 lab assistants also. They were removed. Then demonstration post was not created. Of course, I was not worried because I was getting the national scholarship and I was also getting the fellowship. And therefore, I was not so much worried about it. But Professor Arunachalam was worried. He tried hard, but that could not materialize. But fortunately for me, uh, Professor Tiwari, R.N. Tiwari, who was working as a part-time lecturer in Kirti College, he wanted to go on 3 months leave for some NCC training, and he was looking for a substitute. So Principal Poddar asked me whether I would go as a substitute. I said, if it is a substitute for 3 months, I am not really happy to go there. But if they want to continue me for the whole year, then I would certainly go. And fortunately for me, and also fortunately for geography, I would say that the Kirti College management, particularly Principal MP Rege, agreed to my request, and therefore I was there for the whole year. And after that, when I met him on the last day, because last day used to be coconut day, means people used to be terminated in those days, whosoever the management was not happy. So I straight away went to him and asked him whether I will be there next year or I will also be terminated. He said, you don't worry, we have to build up the department, second center of geography in Mumbai University. Because till that time, there was only one center, and that was the Parle College. Before that, geography was there in Ruparel College, but they have wound up geography. So I became a full-timer next year, that is on 10th of July 1967. And in both these years, 66 and 67, I was also undergoing the post-graduation course, that is MSc. So I became a full-timer. That was very happy. So that by the time I passed my MSc, I did not search for a job. Then for 1 year, I was working there as a full-timer with only 9 lectures per week. Now you must be wondering as to what I should have done in that particular year, because there were only 3 lectures during the day, and they were spread on the first 3 days, so 1 lecture per day, and 2 lectures in the evening on the next 3 days. and they were in the evening. So on one side, I had a full day off. On the other side, I had no work after 12 o'clock. So one must have enjoyed. Fortunately, I did not do that because Kirti College library was rich in geography there. And Principal Rege told me that we have to establish the center. So I was preparing for that. Whenever I had lecture at about 7:30 in the evening, I used to go there at 10 o'clock in the morning, used to sit in the library and drawing notes for whatever I have to face after 2 years. And that has helped me really because my object was whatever I could not get in my graduation and post graduation, my students could not face. Second objective was the students should learn at whatever level they are, and you should go to the last person so that they should not have any difficulty. And therefore, I was searching for different books for different topics. I have never used only one book for geomorphology or one for climatology because different topics are dealt with differently in different books. Now, if you take, for example, underground water, I don't know whether you have seen this book, Arthur Holmes' Geomorphology, Arthur Holmes' Physical Geography. That is the best book. And when I started teaching from that book, teaching of underground water was never difficult. Similarly, for river work, PT was the most important book. And like that, I started searching for the books. Now, one day I used to go to Parle College, and Professor Arunachalam has assigned me work of teaching Maharashtra. There also, I used to go at about 9:30. As I was going as a student, I was going there at 8:30, but I used to go at 9:30, go to library and search for the books because Parla College library was richer than the Kirti College library. And like that, I developed myself first and then started developing the students. So that was 1 year. After that, Kirti started geography at the general level. But we had two batches. One was during the daytime, that is regular batch, and other was in the evening, that was employed students batch. And like that, the journey continued. Principal changed. Principal S.V. Bokir joined as a principal in 1970. But he was also very kind, and geography special was introduced in 1971. 73, the first batch, as he has mentioned. Uh, I continued, and I could have continued, but there was saturation because the same lecture you do in the morning and also for the employed batch. First year, when I was teaching only first year, same lecture for 3 batches. Although I used to make a change, that apart. And therefore, I decided to leave Kirti College. But I was looking for a chance. Of course, another thing was there, the next principal who came was not very supportive of geography and also of me. So I said, better leave. And it is during that period that the department has, university has advertised 3 posts of lecturers. One was the post in quantitative geography, other was in agricultural geography, and third was in social geography. Now, I have special liking for quantitative geography, and therefore I decided to apply for that. And I joined in March 1979, 16th March 1979, forenoon, the Department of Geography, and continued to go up. I became a reader in 1983 and professor in 1994. Retired on superannuation in September 2005. Now, during this period, although I said that I was not fortunate to hear Madam in the class, I met Madam. First interaction with her was during the examination. She was my moderator and I was the examiner. At that time, I used to live in Girgaon and she was in Chembur. So I used to go there with a couple of 100 papers or so and leave her. Then she would go through it, and on 4 days she would call me, where I would give another 100 papers or so in 4 5 days. Now we were four examiners, and four examiners have different tendencies. Some were very loose, some were very strict, some were giving even more than the maximum marks for the question, and some have come very late. So her problem was to bring some sort of uniformity in assessment. So that was my first interaction. Then we brought out a map book for BGA, and there both of us worked together, and the experience was extremely good. She was very cooperative, and somehow we were working harmoniously. There was no problem. Then we wrote one paper also for Professor R.P. Mishra. There also it was very nice. When I joined the department, I was in two minds whether to register with Professor Arunachalam because he was my teacher in Parle College, or to register with Dr. Sita. Uh, but that problem was solved by Professor Arunachalam himself. We were traveling to Pune in a taxi, and he said that he cannot take any more students because he has already so many students. Then I asked her as to whom to register with, and he suggested Dr. Sita's name. Next day I came and registered myself with Dr. Sita because I knew it will be smooth sailing with her. Now she was very cooperative. She not only told me what to do, but she has also worked with me. That was one advantage. And second advantage was, as the work was proceeding, she has suggested me to prepare papers on the same work. And although I registered in 1979, our first paper was presented at Nagi conference in 1980, January 1980. Another paper in the same year, and that was at Hyderabad. Now, first paper was on spatial pattern of root wave. Then second was on the, I think that was more related to development, different regions of development and facilities. That was at Hyderabad. And then it went on. Another paper we prepared for Nagi conference was declining town. And then everything was going smoothly. I was working here and I was working also for my PhD. Used to spend a lot of time. Used to come here at 7:30, go at about 9 o'clock. But there used to be people. Rao used to be there till 9 o'clock and we used to go together. I was sharing a room with her for some days because the department was short of rooms. And she has helped me a lot, not only in research, but also in teaching, because I had come from a college and this was the university level. What she told me is that if you want to be a good teacher, you have to be a good researcher also. And when you are a researcher, your teaching can be improved automatically. You don't have to do much on your own. Of course, you have to go to library, but at postgraduate level, you cannot rely only on books. And that is how our journey continued till she was here in 1990. But we continued to work even after that. And therefore, whatever I am today is because of these two persons. Is Dr. Sita, who was my guide and mentor and everything, and also Professor Arunachalam, my first teacher in Parli College. Of course, Professor Deshpande was there. He used to come sometimes when I was in MSc, but that was only tangential. Now, with that, without waiting, without making you wait for whatever you have come for, I will start my presentation. This is the first slide. Now, all of you know what is climate change because so much is being talked about it. Although it is being talked about it today, climate change have climate changes have been there even in the past. There was no time when there was no change in the climate. But why is it being talked today so much? In those days, the changes used to be because of the physical factors, which are not in our control. Today's climate change is more due to human factors. Now, it is a long-term change in climate and the various parameters of the climates which are mentioned here, they primarily constitute the climate change. Next. Now, greenhouse effect. When I was a student, greenhouse effect was considered most important because without greenhouse effect, our living on the earth would be difficult. I still remember, and words of Professor Arunachalam are ringing in my ears. As he used to say, our atmosphere is select in absorption of the gases. Now, it does not absorb radiations which are coming directly from the sun, as they are shortwave radiations, but only indirectly from the earth, the terrestrial radiation, because terrestrial radiations are long wave radiations. The difference between temperature of the sun and temperature of the earth is so different. And therefore, the earth is heat, the earth atmosphere is heated not from above but from below. Therefore, the temperature decreases with altitude. If this were not there, we would not have got the heat that is necessary. So, atmosphere allows the radiations to come in, but does not allow all the radiations to go out. And therefore, it is called a greenhouse effect. It was good. What is important today and why is it a matter of concern is the enhanced greenhouse effect. Now, who has enhanced it? Man has enhanced it. After industrial revolution, burning of fossil fuels, and most important change, which is so much of concern, is the change in temperature, arising out of which there are so many other changes in rainfall and many other things. Okay? Next. Now I was talking to you about the temperature changes even in the past. This is zero level temperature. All that is above that is higher temperature than zero. All that is in blue is lower temperature than zero, and these are what are referred to as glaciation and deglaciation periods. And there have been so many. Now, this has been constructed on the basis of carbon dating and many other techniques that are available. Instrumental measurements have come very late. They are there in the last section that is given here by black line. So that is a, now this is only in about 150 years or so, not before that. The instrumental readings were there, but temperature changes were there. It has become a matter of concern only because of induction by man. Next. Now these are two important gases. One is carbon dioxide and other is methane. And as I told you, of course, there are so many other gases also. Ozone is there. Even water vapor to some extent absorbs the heat as it is going away from the earth. But these two are very important. One is one is carbon dioxide and other is methane. Nitrous oxide is mainly responsible for pollution that we have, vehicular pollution, but it can also absorb some heat, and therefore these three gases have been mentioned, and you will find that there were some fluctuations up to about 1850, but the fluctuations were very limited and the level was very low. But after that, there is a steep increase in these two gases in the atmosphere, and main reason for that was the so many activities that man has created, particularly industrial activity and also our homes. Earlier, the homes used to be with natural materials, and now you have with cement and other artificial materials. Roads also are concreted, and all these activities, along with the density of population, is responsible for the increase in emission of carbon dioxide and also the methane. Therefore, this has contributed a lot to enhance greenhouse effect and therefore enhance rise in temperature. Next. Now this gives you the global mean temperature and rise above that, how it rises and falls. There are two lines. One is a thinner line and other is a thicker line. As students of geography, I am sure that you have heard about the moving average. And thicker line is the moving average, and you will find the moving average always smoothens the fluctuations. So second line is the moving average, and the third is that gives you the windows as to where there is some break. But the temperature has continued to rise. Now this is only from 1850 up to 2010. Okay? So the temperature is rising and rising in such a way that it has caused a concern. Next. Now this gives you the pattern of change in global temperature. You will find can you focus it a bit? Okay. Because these letters are not so clear. Now this is the line of mid 20th century, that is 1950. Before that, the temperature was less. For some days it was, some years it was higher, but otherwise it was generally less. And this is the when it has started rising around 1980. Okay. And after that it is rising tremendously till about 2010. Okay. So this gives you the global change in temperature, which was below 1950 mean, and there it is above 1950 mean. And after that, it has never come down. It is rising continuously. Okay, next. Now this is the background. This is the work which we have jointly done with one of my students, one of my PhD students, Dr. Ajay Singh, who was working as a research scholar in Shailesh Mehta Institute of the IIT. And this was his topic, agricultural and hydrological impacts of climate extremes in monsoon climate. You cannot present the whole thing, and therefore I have taken only a small part of it, which can be generally understood not only by geographers but also by others. And therefore I have selected that topic where special expertise in geography is not so much necessary, but you must be adversant with the statistics. Next. Now this is what I have learned in 1964 when I was doing my BSc in Parle College. This is what Trivartha said. Because generally, when we are talking about statistics, we talk about the measures of central tendency, and therefore we think of means. But as important as the mean or median or mode are the measures of dispersion also. At that time, dispersion was not so popular a name, a term, but what he has said is mean is definitely important. And therefore, you know, as the students of geography, that climate is the average of weather conditions. Weather is short, 1 day or two. Climate is long term. And the minimum period for which you have to take the average is 35 years or even more than that, but 35 years minimum. Average does not bring out all the characteristics that you require. And therefore, dispersion is important. So what he has said is variations from the average are equally important. Now this is what he said in 1964. And I remembered it because I liked it very much. Okay, next. And it is useful now. I just quoted. What are extremes that you know? And our present topic, extremes in the rainfall. And extremes in the rainfall, on one side, the rainfall is higher than what you expect, it will be floods. On the other side, if it is lower than what you expect, it is drought. So it is either flood or drought. Most of the lecture will be basically rolling around these two extremes, that is floods and droughts. Okay. So this is the definition. And as I told you, the extremes are defined making use of the statistical characteristics. All of you have heard about normal curve. And normal curve you talk about mean and standard deviation. Mean plus or minus one standard deviation, around 60% of the values. Mean plus and minus two standard deviation, 95% of the values. Mean plus or minus three standard deviation, 19% of the values. Now, when you consider extreme as far as climate is concerned, it is beyond either mean minus two standard deviation when it will be drought, or it will be beyond mean plus two standard deviation when it will be flood. So 2.5% of the values on this side and 2.5% of the values on the other side will give you the extreme. Generally, between mean plus one standard deviation and mean minus one standard deviation is considered as normal. And between one standard and two standard is departure. It is called simply departure, but not the extreme. Extreme comes only after mean plus or mean minus two standard deviations. Next. So extremes are the occurrences lying beyond mean plus two standard deviation on either side. And this is what I have already said. They cover 5% of the values, equally divided on both the sides, on the lower side as well as on the higher side. Next. Now, when you consider extreme, this is the average, middle curve. You consider this is the original picture where 2.5% here, 2.5% there. But the phenomena do not remain the same. There is either a rise or a fall over period of time. Now, if there is a change in mean, it can be on either side. What I have shown here is increase. Rainfall increases. When rainfall increases, what will happen? It will increase all over. And therefore, the droughts will not be that severe. But the floods will be severe. If the curve shifts on this side, droughts will be more severe, floods will not be that severe. So that is the impact of the change in the mean. But as there is change in the mean, there is also change in variance, that is departure. If this is the original variance and it goes down, then the curve is more evenly spread. Not that sharp difference, and therefore there will be more occurrences of drought. There will also be more occurrences of the floods. And this is a combination of the two. So when we take into consideration the floods and droughts, it is not only mean plus and minus two standard deviation, but also the possibility of long-term changes, either rise or the fall. Now here we are talking about the rainfall. If you have a rise in temperature, let us suppose you are talking about temperature term, then what will happen? Nights will be warmer, isn't it? There will be less nights which are cooler, more nights will be warmer. And this is what is happening today. When I visited Pune in 1964, nights used to be cool and you used to have a cover. But today, that does not happen. People are using the fans. And this is because of the warming effect. Next. Now, impact of floods and droughts means low rainfall and high rainfall and low rainfall. On two aspects we are considering. One is the area and other is the production. I have taken here only a small part of the food grains. Okay? Because lecture has to be completed in an hour or so. Yes. Otherwise, you have to endure a lot, as he has said. Next. Now, this is the method which we have used to impact to analyze floods and droughts. In historical perspective, we have examined to start with, and we have also taken the two aspects. One is cropped area and other is food grain production. Actually, we were also looking for the harvested area, because harvested area will give a more effective impact of flood or drought. But unfortunately, that data was not available for the whole time series, and therefore we have taken the cropped area. With cropped area, one difficulty is farmer does not know before the flood comes or drought comes as to what the situation will be, and therefore he crops as much area as he wants, and therefore it is not a true reflection. But harvested area will definitely be reduced during drought period, and it may be increased during flood period, and therefore that is the best indicator. But since the data is not available, we satisfied ourselves with the cropped area, and this is what is called the surrogate in statistics. When you don't get the required variable, you have to satisfy yourself with whatever that is available. When you don't get taluka data, you have to satisfy yourself with district data. Next. Now this is the period 1950 to 2003, and these are the sources. Now fortunately, you can easily tap the sources because of internet. When I carried out my research, it was not so easy. I was working with 1135 settlements, and for each of these, I had to go to library, collect the census handbook, tabulate the data, and make calculations. Fortunately, calculators were available, but before that, we used to make all the calculations with log tables. So this data there, TropMet, that is Institute of Tropical Meteorology, located at Pune, and this is IndiaSat satellite. Next. This is what I have said. Mean plus one standard deviation is considered normal. This is flood year when it is more than 1 HD, drought year when it is mean minus 1 HD. Next. This is important because, as you will see later, we have cropped at we have you represent the statistics at three different levels. One is the actual, other is running mean or moving average, as you call it, and the third is regression line. Now to consider loss in production, how to calculate it? One way is to take the mean and then have the deviation. That is all right when the trend continues. But here the crop changes, the production changes, area under crop also changes, and therefore you must have some way to take into consideration the changes also, changes over a period of time, long-term changes as well as short-term changes. And therefore what we found that we will take a moving average of 7 years. Now, why 7 years? Because 7 years is the interval in which you generally do not find much change in technology. Generally, technology remains the same over a 7-year period. Even when you talk about crop varieties, don't change over such a short period of time. So we have taken 7 years, 3 years on one side, 3 years on the other side. What we say y minus 3 and y plus 3. What you do is, in this interval of 7 years, you find out the year where the yield is maximum. That is what we have said as PM. PM is production, maximum production. And then you work out the loss as P minus PM. P is the production of a given year and PM is the production of the maximum year, maximum production in a particular year of those 7-year period. And then when you multiply it by 100, it gives you percentage. Okay. So this is the methodology which we have used to consider the production loss in those 7 years. Next. This is the area under food grains. Of course, it is planted area. There I said it is cropped area. Planted and cropped is the same. So planted area under food grains, when you analyze from 1940, our analysis is from 1950, it goes up to 2003. You will find that in the initial stages, planted area was limited, but then it went up in 1960s, and that continued up to about 1980 or 90, and then it has come down. Now we got our independence in 1947. We became republic in 1950, and planning started in 1951-52. That was the first 5-year plan that was launched. And in 1950-51, when the first 5-year plan was launched, emphasis was on agriculture because food was important. Till that time, we had to import food from United States of America under PL 480. And many of those who were there must be knowing as to quality of wheat which we are getting under PL 480 from United States of America. Therefore, the planners led by Mahalanobis decided that we must give first emphasis on grain production. Now, in those days, emphasis was more on extension, that is bringing in more area under cultivation of food grains. And that is why you will find that there is a sharp rise in the area. Of course, although planners say that extension should be there, ultimately it is the will of the farmer and it takes quite a long time to extend the area. That's why, although it increased sharply, subsequently the increase was not so sharp. And then, of course, the plateau has reached. Why is the area falling in recent days? There are so many reasons for that. One important reason is encroachment. For so many things, encroachment for extension of urban areas, encroachment for infrastructure. And another problem, of course, which we are now facing is the problem of labor. When the labor is not available, farmers are not willing to cultivate the area, although they have the area. Okay. So all these factors have contributed to recent fall in the area. But otherwise, it increased up to the middle of 80s or so. Next. Now this is the moving average. Now moving average smoothens the pattern, but you will find that there are some plateaus in between. This is a small plateau, but this is considerable. This is a plateau. That is a plateau. Now what is a plateau? Plateau is the production comes almost to stability. It doesn't rise so much, it doesn't fall so much. And after that, you will find that there is a rise in production. So, same here it is area. So, it has gone down from about that period, and there is a considerable fall in the area between 2002 and 2003. Okay. And area shows this pattern, but production will show some other pattern. Next, this is the regression line, which shows that the area is going up, but that is because of the long-term period which we have taken into consideration from 1950 to 2003. Although you find that earlier it was below regression line, that is negative residual. Later years also it is below the regression line. They are negative residuals. Only for some period it is above regression line where it has positively increased. Now regression line gives you the trend, long trend. Next. Now let us come to production of food grains. Area has declined, but production continues to rise, except for the last year where it has gone down. Okay. Now pink line is the actual production and black line is the moving average. Now this also shows the plateaus. This is a very recognized plateau. This is third plateau. This is third plateau, fourth plateau, and so on. But in production, the plateau is mainly because of the changes in technology. As I told you, earlier emphasis was on extension, but later emphasis was on intensification, particularly after green revolution was introduced. Now, first it was introduced only in areas which were most suitable. For wheat, it was introduced in Punjab. For rice, it was introduced in Andhra Pradesh. And later on, it slowly percolated to different areas. And as it percolated to different areas, the production continued to rise. So, we will not find a straight relationship between area and production. Area declines, but production continues to increase because production does not depend only on the present technology, but also on the changes in technology and also the government policies like subsidies and so many other things which influence production. If the price of onion goes up, area under onion will also go up and like that. Okay. Next. Now this is the trend line or regression line, and you will find, as we shall see later in the table, that there is a considerable positive relation as you go on. Next. Now let us come to loss in area. Again, the same procedure was used, which we have used for the production, 7-year average, and -3 and +3. So this is the actual area in those years. But one thing I would say, make you remember is the fall in area is up to about 7% because the scale is going to change. But there are so many ups and downs. Now, downs are related to droughts. And as students of geography, you must be knowing that there were some significant droughts in early 60s. 70 was very severe drought, 72, 73. It started from 69, 70, and for 3 continuous years, it was a drought in Maharashtra also. Then there was a drought in 79, and later on also droughts continued, and that is what is responsible for the changes in cropped area or changes in planted area. Next. This is loss in production. Curve appears to be of the same height, but don't go by the height. This is 0, that is 25. Loss in area was restricted to 6%. Loss in production is up to 25%. And therefore, loss in production is more severe compared to loss in area. The reason being, as I told you, that farmer is not in a position to anticipate whether it is going to be a drought or whether it is going to be a flood year. Next. Therefore, in order to bring that fact of the change in scale, both of these have been shown on the same scale. This is the curve for area. This is the curve for production. So production fluctuations are considerable, area fluctuations are limited. More important than that, generally you will find that the peak in area also corresponds to peak in production. That is obvious. As area increases, the production will increase. But you will also notice that it does not go all the time. Here, for example, area has fallen, but the production has increased. Area has fallen, but the production has increased. And that indicates two things. When it is the reverse way, it is the adjustment by the farmer because he cannot immediately adjust. When area has fallen, the production has increased. It is because of the new technology that has been adopted. And therefore, you will not always find both the curves parallel. Next. Now, this is the regression analysis which has been carried out to find out the relationship between AI-SMR. AI-SMR is All India Summer Monsoon Rain. That is AI-SMR. Now, loss in area under food grains. What happens? As the rainfall increases, loss in area under food grains has declined. But you know that the production is increasing. Now, why has it declined? It has declined because other crops have become important, particularly cash crops like sugarcane, oilseeds, tobacco. They have increased, and therefore area under food grain has come down. And you will find that even today, as I can see in Konkan, most of the area that was cultivating rice, the farmer is bringing under the cultivation of mangoes, horticultural crops. That is the tendency because they give more cash. Food grains, are not so costly and farmer does not get so much. Therefore, regression line shows a negative trend. Next. Loss in food grain production as a function of all India summer monsoon rains. And that also shows the same pattern. Next, this is rainfall in centimeters. This is percentage loss. As the rainfall increases, loss is reduced. There, as the rainfall has increased, loss in the area has also been reduced. And here, it is the loss in the production of food grains. Now, why does it happen? What is loss in food grains? Is the difference between maximum and whatever the production is. If rainfall increases, the situation is favorable for cultivation. So loss is reduced. And that is also the case with the loss in area. Okay. So when rainfall increases, loss in area is reduced and loss in production of food grains is also reduced. And that is obvious. And therefore you find in both of them you have negative relationship. Next. Now, in addition to actual rainfall, we have regressed both these variables, that is cropped area and also the production of food grain, against the departure from rainfall. Now, departure, as you know very well, it is on either side, departure from the normal rainfall. And I'm sure that all those who are coming to geography, they must have heard about rainfall normals, which are published by the government. And whatever the actual rainfall is, it may be either less than that or more than that, and therefore that is considered as departure. So, as the departure increases, loss decreases, because the departure means it is on either side. These figures you must look at. This is 0. On this side they are negative figures. On that side they are positive figures. When it is negative, it will be drought. When it is positive, it will be flood. And therefore, whether it is a flood or drought, the loss will be related to the departure from normal. Negative departure, it will be less. Positive departure, it will be more. So this is very important. Scale is very important. It is not simply the line. Next. Same pattern is seen as far as the loss in food grain production is concerned. Again, this is negative, that is positive. And we are taking both positive and negative into consideration, and therefore trend line shows a decline, that is negative relationship between the loss and the departure. Next. Then we have regressed area residual. And as the students of statistical geography, you must be knowing what is residual. You plot a regression line. You take the points which are above regression line. You call them as positive residuals. Take the points which are below regression line and you plot them as negative residuals. Then you also plot standard error, 1 standard error, 2 standard error, 3 standard errors on either side. And then you map the regression residuals. Now the question is, when the trend either of the area or production is negative, the trend when you take with residuals, it is positive. Why is it so? Because residual means it is negative or positive. When it is negative, it will be related to lower rainfall. When it is positive, it will be related to higher rainfall. And therefore, it has to be positively related on either side. Negative, negative will become positive. Positive, positive will also become positive. And therefore, the trend is positive. Okay. Next. Same thing is there when it is regressed in against the rainfall. Of course, the curve is sharper. Again, you will find this scale is important. Negative, which is given for negative variables, and that is for positive residuals. Okay. Next. Now, this is area residual as a function of departure from AISMR. Again shows the positive trend for the same reasons which I have already explained. Same thing about production residual, where the curve is sharper and steeper because the fall in production is sharper than the fall in the area. Now, this is some of the statistics which is given here. I will take some water. बसून बोलू शकतो पण ॲज अ टीचर वन शुड बी स्टँडिंग. AISMR, when it is correlated with loss in area, why does it show negative relationship? As students of statistics, you should be in a position to answer. It is related to AISMR. See, when the rainfall is less, production will be less, but loss will be more. When the rainfall is more, production will be more, but the loss will be less. So when the rainfall is more, loss is less. When the rainfall is less, loss is more. So one is more increasing, other is decreasing. When one increases and the other decreases, naturally there will be negative correlation. That's why it is negative. So is also the case with production, but results are better as far as the production is concerned. That means there is more loss compared to loss in the area. And as seen earlier, when compared to actual area or actual production, when you take residual, it comes to positive. Now, production residual, you have a very high degree of correlation, 0.74, that is only 21. When you consider the figures are the same, only thing is they are slightly higher. But wherever they are negative, they remain negative. Wherever they are positive, they remain positive. Next. Now, these are the actual drought, flood, and normal years. Normal years are many. Flood years are less compared to drought years, but they are there. Next. Now, these are the trends. Our values have been given during the flood years, and you find that there is no figure which is in red. That means the production has increased, and that is indicated by the value of 0.40. And the trend in production is higher, is indicated by the R value of 40, which is higher compared to R value of 21 in case of the area, again for the same reason. difficulties in prediction in planted area. If it were to be the harvested area, probably this difference would not have been there. Next. Now, what is the difference between the earlier table and this table? Now, this table is full of red figures. Why red? That is indicating negative. Okay. Now, this is related to droughts, more severe years, and you will find that in most of the drought years, Kharif production has come down. Kharif production has come down. But you will not find the same number of years in Rabi production. What is the reason for that? Kharif production, farmer has no way of adjusting. But in Rabi production, he can adjust the crop. And instead of taking a water intensive crop, he can take less water intensive crop. Now I know I come from Konkan, and Konkan many people used to take a second crop of paddy. In that year, where there is drought, they won't take paddy. Instead of that, they will switch over to some other crop, which requires less. Okay. So adjustment is possible for Rabi production, but not for the Kharif production. Okay. And therefore, the losses are less as far as Rabi is concerned and more as far as Kharif is concerned. Next. So what is important is floods do not affect adversely, but drought affects adversely. And that too in Kharif crop season, not so much in Rabi crop season. Now, this is the trend in different crops. As far as flood is concerned, again, one thing is that not so much of red figures, but more than that, can you some other thing? Rice is not adversely affected. Wheat is not adversely affected because wheat is mainly a Rabi crop, not so much a Kharif crop. And therefore, even if there are high rain, it is not adversely affected. Bajra is not affected when there is flood year because Bajra is generally grown in areas which are dry. You must have heard about Marwar, which is the western part of Rajasthan. That is known for Bajra. Okay. So Bajra is not affected in flood year. Barley is not so much affected. What is affected is jowar. Because jowar is grown in both the periods, Kharif as well as Rabi. Rabi it would not be affected, but Kharif season, jowar cannot tolerate the higher rains. And therefore, jowar crop in the Kharif period will be adversely affected. Next. See the impact of drought on Kharif production. What do you find? The table is full of red figures and almost all over. Bajra is the worst affected because it is grown in marginal areas. They are already dry and drought has adverse impact. Rice is affected because rice is a water loving crop, water intensive crop. Wheat is not so affected because wheat is a Rabi crop. Then barley is affected because it is a Kharif crop. Jowar is not so much affected because it is partly Kharif and partly Rabi. Whatever that is Kharif has gone and therefore you find some drought. Maize is adversely affected because maize is again requires lot of water and pulses. So drought is more severe and more hazardous compared to floods. Next. Now, during the period of actual flood events, these are the crops. You find a rice. All the years, rice wheat was not affected, and you will find that in most of the cases, more than 75% of the year, there was an increase. It is only here that Jowar was affected. As I told you, Jowar cannot come. But take the impact of drought, and you will find that there the blue figures are more. And on this side, you have the lower figures. On that side, you have the higher figures. And this again indicates that drought is more severe and affects more, adversely affects the production of crops, food grains. Next. And with whatever we have seen so far, you must be happy we have come to the last figure. These are the three conclusions you can draw. One is there is greater temporal fluctuation in production of food grain than the area under food grain. Remember, it is planted area. It would not have been so much different if we were to take the harvested area. Okay. Impact of drought is more noticeable than the impact of flood. And you will find that flood years, in fact, have benefited most of the areas and most of the crops. And third important, which I have explained at the time, that Rabi food grain production depicts better adaptability to drought than Kharif. Now, these are the three important conclusions which we have drawn. Thank you very much for patiently listening for such a long time. Thank you.
I articulate immense gratitude on behalf of everyone present here with all my heart, sir, for such an informative, excellent, and thought provoking lecture. Your pre lecture talk was also equally interesting. Listening to your lecture is really worthwhile. Really worthwhile, sir. And the bountiful information on the theme impact of rainfall extremes on area and production of food grains in India that you bestowed on us stands brilliantly conveyed. Um, I now declare the podium as open to one and all for sharing memories of Dr. Professor K. Sita Madam. Anyone, whosoever wishes to share any past memorable times with ma'am is welcome on the podium.
Sir, with your permission, shall I ask a question? Sir, you have seen that last year there was 24% more rainfall than normal in the South India. And in the Northeast, there is 14% less rainfall than the normal. So, at one side, we are talking about the climate change and the extreme events are happening. And in one side, there is a extreme rainfall, and there is another side is the deficit rainfall. So, one study was conducted by the IIT Kharagpur, and they have analyzed the rainfall data from 1991 to 2020. The data is available on the internet. So they came to know that the average rainfall of northeast region is continuously decreasing. We know that there are these two regions, that is, one is northeast and another one is Konkan. These two regions are receiving the highest amount of rainfall. So why is happening? So that might be the there. What are the reasons behind it?
See, as far as the rainfall pattern is concerned, you must have heard about Geographical's model.
Yeah.
Then, and subsequently also that model has been modified by many people. And rainfall at a particular place or in a particular area, or for that matter, rainfall in India, is governed by many factors. And he has given so many factors, about 16 different parameters he has given. And some of the parameters are so distant from India. For example, one is elevation, other is snow cover in European areas. Third is temperature over the South Indian Ocean, isn't it? So all these things are there. This is as far as the rainfall in India is concerned. But as far as the rainfall in Northeast is concerned, again there are so many local factors. Say for example, Meghalaya Plateau. Then you also have the jet stream, which is moving across Himalayas and then along the Himalayas. So sometimes before monsoon, it is to the south of Himalayas. During the monsoon, it is to the north of the Himalayas. As a result of that, the Tibetan plateau is there, and Tibetan plateau develops anticyclonic conditions. And when it develops anticyclonic conditions, if they are severe in a particular year, they will affect the rainfall in different regions differently. So when you have drought in one area, you can also have floods in the other area. And that continues to be there every year. When you have drought in Gujarat, you may have floods in Uttar Pradesh. That has been the pattern. But the continuous decline in temperature of the northeast is more related to global warming.
Rainfall.
Global warming.
No, decreasing trend of rainfall.
Yeah. Actually, the rainfall is so fluctuating now. In some areas, you will find that the rainfall is more. In some areas, the rainfall is less. But the effect of Meghalaya plateau, you have to consider.
See, in IITs, many IITs, they have started a new paper that is Hydrology of the Extremes. So they are studying all this.
Yeah,
temperature and another one, the diagram you have shown in that presentation, that is full production and area. So that regression, that the R square was 0.73. So on that production, that peak, and this another one, that area peak, that was in some places that was not matching. So you told that is maybe do you feel like that maybe a uncertainty in data?
No, it is not in uncertainty in data. Partly it may be because of that. But more important than that, the farmer is not in a position to adjust to new technology or even to rainfall pattern. Because when he suffers from drought in the earlier year, he feels and he is very cautious in extending area. Secondly, you must be knowing that during some of the drought years, farmer sells his equipment also. Farmer sells the bullocks also. And next year, to purchase the bullocks, it will not be possible for all the farmers, particularly small farmers. So it is because of such difficulties that they are not matching.
With your permission, this last question.
Yeah.
So now we have heard about that, more about the machine learning, various models are there, like bush regression tree is there, or maybe random forest model is there. So what is your opinion regarding this? We are using a lot of.
No, I have not heard about that.
Okay.
Therefore,
thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening.
since this time is given for sharing of Madam Sita's memories, I would like to say I had the privilege and honor of being her student in the year 1972 at Korea College. And I remember her for her humility and like just coming out of school and stepping into college where the freedom was just given to us. She was, and in that big, wide, open world, she was like a mother figure. And she nurtured that love for geography, which I had taken at the SSC. In those days, it was very strict, and so I was thrown into convent house, and so I was looking for an evening college where Kitty College came up as a winner, and I joined for evening classes where on that third floor of the geography department, I met Professor Patel one rainy day. And from then on, I've been his student. I think I'm eternal student of his. So thank you, sir, and thank you, Sita Madam, for holding me. Then it was my fortune that when I finished my graduation and I came to the Department of Geography for my MA, I studied the C.D. Deshpande, B.A. Arunachala. Sita Madam was there too, always pushing me forward, guiding me, and of course, Padke. So I have all these great stalwarts with me, but I failed them because I didn't do my MA in geography. I shifted to this wonderful department here, education department. I finally did. I went to the education field. But finally, I did my MA at what age? Almost when I was retiring, I had that great wish to complete that MA in geography, which I gave up 35 years ago. So back again, I went to study geography and to be, and Professor Patel always been my mentor, always helping me, push me forward, go for seminars, go for this, go for that. And very recently, I finished my MD in geography.
Good, but you finished. You finished.
As Maria Madam said, I'm blessed, to be a part of this university as a student with Dr. K. Sita Madam as my Guru Mata. Now, why do I would say Guru Mata? Because actually I was not in the mind of completing my MPhil study due to some reasons. But then it was Madam's personal letter which was sent to me, and out of respect, due respect to her, I continued with my film, and further she again encouraged me to go for my PhD studies. So what I am today, the entire things I owe is to Sita Madam. But of course, one more thing I would like to say that in my third year BA Geography, where I first in university, most of this credit I will owe to Dr. Fadke sir, because the course which he had given to my sister was doing her graduation geography well preserved, and I had utilized it rigorously, which I hold even today, and that has helped even in my teaching career as well as in my studies. So I also thank Professor for being there with us all the time, right from my 12th standard now, and henceforth also I'll be his student. One more factor is that I was very associated with Sita in her post-retirement period, where regularly I used to visit her during Diwali festival and day vacation twice in a year, and more so after the demise of Venkateshwar Guru. Madam was mostly all alone at Vashi. So I used to see that once a week, at least every Sunday, I accompanied her at around every 15 days or in a month. So whole day I used to be with her, and whatever outing she required, whether it was medical or shopping or whatsoever, so she used to feel very happy. And she said, "You please come, because only when you come, I cook well and I eat." When she said this, I made it a point, no, because if I go, Madam will be eating well, so I have to go to her and be with her whole day. And then one day she said that you should have been my daughter. Then I told her, Madam, I'm your daughter only because you are my Guru Mata. So much affection, love, and everything that throughout we were with her, and even now, Madam is with us. Her children and musical questions, and I pay my tribute to her all throughout her. And pray God to give her peace and everything that she wishes. Thank you so much.
If you do not progress according to her wishes, she would simply say, she would never scorn you. She would simply say that the matter is not progressing. And that was not happening because we were busy on other fronts, teaching front. But she has never scolded.
I am Rashmi Desai. I have been a student of this department since 1974. Actually, I must say I am a student of the department since 1970 because I had opted geography instead of maths at my first year arts in Parle College. I was a student of Parle College, now known as Satle College. And I had the good fortune of being taught by Professor B. Arunachalam, a gregarious teacher. He used to start his lectures with the beautiful handwriting on the left top corner of the board. And when he put a full stop with a lot of vehemence, I still remember, his hand doing this on the board, on the right hand corner of the board. That would be the last word he would utter at his lecture. Very eloquent, very systematic, very methodical presentation of whatever topic he was teaching. The entire board would be filled up with beautiful handwriting interspersed with relevant diagrams. I still have notebooks of that time with me. I've preserved them till date because I consider those learnings very valuable. He taught probably infused a lot of interest in me in geography, and I continue to graduate in geography from Parle College when Professor Vidyadhar Amrute was my principal teacher. I would say he taught us less and showed us more, and probably that is one of the reasons why we learn to observe things around us, relate them to each other, and start learn whatever geography we understood. Different branches, but making us learn geography by reading from the library, by observing geography. The same continued when Professor Arunachalam was there. I remember, I don't know how many kilometers we had to walk down the dikes of Karzat. Yeah, many of us will remember that exercise in the hot sun. And he used to be the most active person who walked extremely fast. It was difficult to, catch up with him. Then he would stand, he would explain, and that's how the learning continued in college. I joined the department here in 1974 when Dr. Padke was still, you know, he used to peep out of Dr. C.D. Deshpande's room once in a while. A very timid look I felt at that time, whether he was trying to judge what rascals had joined the department, I don't know, because we had a very unique reputation. You know, we were just four students for graduation from Parley College and one student from science. Later on, out of the four, Dr. Smita Gandhi became a professor in the department. Dr. Sudha Srivastav was a professor. I taught in Parla College for some time and later on in Mithibai, not too much of geography, not too much of the geography that I learned in my graduation and post-graduation. So just a drop because I happened to teach for 35 years in the commerce faculty and couldn't make much use of whatever knowledge I had of geography, but I was a happy teacher in Mithibai. Whatever were the methods that were used to teach us, I continue to use in Mithibai, and I hope I was a useful teacher of geography in Mithibai College. First commercial geography and later on environmental studies, which had a lot of geographical component in it. So I made the best of whatever was available at my hands in order to teach students of comps. During my post-graduation, I had the good fortune of being continued to be taught by Professor B. Arunachalam. I was already used to his method of teaching. What I was not used to was Dr. C.D. Deshpande. Travel from Pune and then decide to take a lecture. So we never knew in advance whether a lecture would be conducted. At 4 o'clock, the lecture would start in a classroom. He would sit on top of the table, one leg hanging. Then he used to have a picture, and the questions were, very wrongly placed. And it was, we used to be aghast what was there in front of us. Very large, larger than life kind of a professor. He used to teach, he used to talk a lot, teach less, but finally it had an impact on what we learned. Uh, Dr. Sita used to very daintily walk into the class. She used to write the heading of the topic she was going to teach. Then she would jot down the points. So we also used to jot down the points, and in a very methodical manner, she would continue to conduct the lecture. What I learned from her brings tears to my eyes even today. She was my guide at my MPhil, and I must say a very, very patient guide because I was a useless student. Came to the department very irregularly, spent very little time with her, and didn't do my work on time. And she was extremely patient. Savit Smita said she was a Guru Mata, which is a fact. She was like, she had that motherly element in her, and she was extremely kind to me. Finally, I completed my MPhil, and she was very kind to pat my back and said you did good work. Part of whatever work I did, I had to present at a conference at the BHU in Varanasi. And I think, like I'm talking today, during my presentation over there also, I did not stick to the time limit provided. And I went on as much as I could talk, and it was a hopeless presentation, so I disappointed her again. I couldn't do a PhD I kind of started, with her immediately after my MPhil work because it was a very voluminous work, metropolitan dominance in Maharashtra, and the years peak was 1971 to 91. It was a voluminous work. Ultimately, it turned out to be good work. And had I continued to expand that thesis, my MPhil, probably I would have landed a PhD. I didn't land a PhD, and I have disappointed a methodical teacher like Dr. Patke, who was also my teacher at my MPhil. And I don't know whether I have been a good student, but he was kind enough to let me know about this particular memorial lecture. And for two reasons, I came here. One is I have a great affection for Dr. Sita. She holds a very high place of esteem in my mind as my teacher. And Dr. Fatke, in spite of his age, I love to see the enthusiasm with which he kind of continues to be a part of programs. And today also I was watching him very keenly. I mean, the teacher in him still lives on. And sir, I wish you very healthy in your passion of talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other? Sabruddin? Yeah, it's good. I'll be very short. As a student in this department in the year 2077 to
Savita?
1979 to for 2 years, and the two teachers who are maybe there in the department were Dr. Sita and Professor Arunach. Actually, it was really very nice. It was a rich community to have the two teachers. One was a specialist and the other the human geology specialist. And the type of interactions we used to have with the teachers were very, very interesting. Dr. Sita had a personality and had a altogether different personality. In their own way were great personalities. Now, after I completed my MA, I went for PhD under Dr. Sita Madam, and I was the second student after my case. I was the one who I enrolled, and she was always saying that this is my second student. I did my work in the initial period very sincerely. I collected a lot of data. I used to sit in the BMC from afternoon 1 o'clock to evening 6 o'clock. The BMC was closed, and I collected a lot of data. However, and before I didn't get to my PhD, I would say I went for the first conference at Tirupati where Dr. Sita Madam and Padke sir was also there, and they said, helping others. These were the three teachers, and I was like a small. I was not the first year in 81. We have gone. So the conference I passed in 79. And for me, a conference was a great thing. Like, and I used to work with a fine and always proudly with these three teachers. And Madam always treated me like a daughter. And she had a mother, she was a motherly figure, as all of them said. And she treated me like daughter, and I also used to see my mother and her. Because there's a lot of difference between my mother and her. So she really patted me, and she used to say, very good work I did, encourage me. And then another paper I presented under this guidance. But in the meantime, there was something like which came, and it was required my qualification. And when NPhil came, my PhD was withdrawn outside side criteria, and I for my MPhil, where that was a very sad part where I didn't go complete my PhD, and Sita Madam was very, very badly affected. I, as a student, I
I was bad, I didn't complete. But my teacher did. But she never stopped encouraging me. She went on saying, but you go ahead, you will complete, you will complete. But somewhere I was not right maybe. My priorities were slightly different. I went in the wrong track. Um, there was another level where I again thought of coming for PhD and I came to Dr. Bhatti. Was also a great person who accepted me and allowed me to do the work the way I wanted to do because he knew that I was very busy with many things at a time. But he always encouraged and always I used to go to him, sit with him, and he used to progress. As he said, what is the progress? What is the progress? And under his guidance also, I presented two papers, two research papers. But bad luck, I didn't complete my PhD. In spite of many things in favor for PhD, I couldn't complete my PhD. So both my great people, Dr. Sita and her mother, I should say, my mother is, I used to always call her Ma only when I met her personally, and Dr. Fatke also till today, always I have great regards and respect for them because they have always been encouraging, never angry, never scolding, never. But I said it is my fault. I didn't complete my PhD, and I'm actually that is where we were around somewhere and we didn't complete, but they were great people, and we asked them to forgive us always. Sita madam, she's forgiven me because whenever I met her, as Sita madam said, that Padke sir had been to a place when she had an accident. She had a fractured hand. She was so sweet and Padke sir myself went to her and never talked anything about my research. She only talked human relations and that is how we wish to come. Academic is very important, but relation is about that. That is what I had with both of them, with Padke sir and with Sita madam, and which I really do. English is not there. My respect and regard for is the same. And for Padke sir, I wish him a very very long life, and I wish I can always see him giving lecture like what he has given today. In spite of age is no problem, age is no matter. He is a lively person, and I want to see him the same till I live. And I once again thank you for giving me this chance to speak with viewers. I would just like to add something. As Bharti madam said that it is a bad, but I won't say it is a bad because the way she has contributed to the society as an NSS program officer in college and district program officer at university level and brought so many knowledge to our students to college and to as a program officer also. It's awesome. We cannot do the work she has done, and that is more than PhD and MPhil, I would say. And so, Bharti madam, we actually thank you for doing so much for the society, great social work. You had sacrificed your whole career for the cause of the nation, for the cause of the society and the university. So it's not a credit. Actually, we owe to you and we go to you with respect that you are more than PhD what it is. Thank you so much.
And Bharti madam's husband is also doing very great social work. That is just 45 into the okay.
No, something about I don't know.
Actually, this is not a platform I feel to talking of my husband because he is a retired colonel and he is working for. Today I made a mistake of not inviting him because climate change is what he wants to is working with, and he's done it with the UN, the climate change session workshop whatever they had, and he is now entitled to give lectures on climate change. And he is also working for the four rivers of Mumbai for the rejuvenation of these rivers. And Oshira River is a river right now given to by the government to work on. These are some of the activities, and for the army servicemen, is the president over there. Another temple and Ayappa temple is the trustee member over there working for the temples, overall infrastructure, etc. So, he's active. Probably the army, I don't know what actually they do, but after retirement, he's become very active and he's been very encouraging. And he makes geographical because his subject of interest is geography also, though he's a science student.
Being active is more important. Being active is more important.
Good evening to all. I'm not able to organize my thoughts, but it's an occasion that I must speak about my most beloved teacher, Sita Madam, as a student itself. Way back in 1984, when I joined the department, enrolled for PG degree, I think she was studying first term. So she started teaching on the second half of part 1, and that continued part 1, part 2. In part 2, as when sir was making a presentation, he said climate is selective. We were also selective in attending lectures. When I say we, there are two other whom I am including, my friends, but we're still connected. And yeah, Harsh Rana and Vinay Natkar. So we are very selective in attending lectures. Always I have attended your lectures. And Madam Sita's. But selective in some lectures as well as practicals. The situation worsened because our journals were not being signed for their want of attendance. So one day, Madam called us. Bharti Madam just now said she was scolded. Scolding was not in her DNA at all. Absolutely not. She called us, she said, sit down. And next 1 hour, she counseled us. And she said that why it is important that you should attend the lectures. That was Madam Sita. Later on, I enrolled for my PhD with her. By the time it was almost she was about to retire from the department. Thereafter, she joined the ISS and followed by IITs. So every week I used to travel up to IITs, and she used to schedule a day. That this particular day would come after lunch, and we used to sit, discuss. She used to go through the draft, correct. And the time, if she says is 1:30, she is ready by 1:30 in her office, in her room. Probably I will be late by 10-15 minutes because I have to travel from Agri to Devna. But she would sit through patiently, she would go through the draft, correctly, give me the next one assignment that this is what you have to do. There's one more student who was junior to us, said to remember Declan. Declan was from Nigeria. He was also doing PhD under Madam Sita. But when he was doing PhD, there was some political development in Nigeria, and it was very necessary for him to go back to Nigeria as fast as possible. So one day, Madam said, Devajit, this is the situation. I want to see that he completes his PhD first. Do you mind? I said, no matter. For me, 6-month delay doesn't make any difference to me. So she said, I was expecting this answer from you. But once Declan's thing was completed, she was completely devoted to my PhD, and in 94 end I submitted, and 95 my Viva course was done. Thereafter, I think I was very regular with her. At least every day I used to talk to her on phone. During her most difficult times when she lost her husband, that day, Dr. Sir, myself, Chavan Madam and Mr. Chavan were there, and the morning I treated him by evening he passed away. Break the news to her, break the news to her this, son. Next day, all the rites were completed. And before she left for London, we were together. Yeah, in between she has a fracture. There is a lot to say about, but not able to, at this moment, I'm not able to organize my thoughts. But she was altogether a different teacher. Her board work, her teaching, there are so many things to learn from her. Probably some of the things I have imbibed from her, do practice that, but never able to reach to her statue at any point of time. Thank you.
भावुक झाला त्यामुळे बोलू शकतो.
Thank you. I would be very short with the vote of thanks. I thank the Professor Dr. Parke for his very wonderful talk on the topic impact of rainfall, extremes on the area and production of food grains in India. I thank Dr. Parke for his very insightful talk on this occasion. I thank all the delegates also for being present for this wonderful talk. I would also thank the back support who had been continuously working for the success of this seminar or the talk. I thank one and all, and thank you once again. ICSSR also I thank for their support, and thank you once again to one and all. Thank you.